Hi, so we've got the MicroMIDI TRS-USB adapter, a QT Py, and some pin headers here, and we're going to put this together real quick. The pin headers we don't necessarily need unless you really feel excited about using pin headers, but what you're going to want to do is trim these to the get your flush cutters and trim just the amount that you need there for one side of these, and we're only going to, I think it comes with you need to trim those down a little bit because it comes with a few extras. But we're just going to use those for positioning right now. We're not going to actually solder with those because we're going to use these castellated pads. The edges of the QT Py here will just solder directly to the board. Something to note here is these solder points that you need to worry about are marked with white, so the TXRX and power and ground over here. Those are the only ones you really need to solder, and then maybe this extra corner just to kind of give it some stability when you're plugging it in. So we're going to set this in position and then just drop the pin headers long side down, drop the pin headers in there and sort of just hold that in place. Then we're going to touch these little solder in here with the castellated pads and show you how this is done. So I like to get I can't pick up my solder. There we go. I like to get just a little blob of solder going on one of the pads. I'm going to start back here on RX and just get it warmed up, get a little solder on there. And then once you're there, I find that going kind of sideways with my iron, or if you've got a wider tip, sometimes coming in from the top, and maybe positioning the QT Py at the same time here, and kind of look at it from the top down and kind of give that a little reflow until it's in a good position. And you want to make sure these pads are lining up with the castellated edges right there. It looks like it's in pretty good place. Just with that pin header holding it in place, it's usually really close, but you might need to just adjust. So that one's kind of tacked in place. We're going to hit it again in a second, but going to give some solder over here. And what you want to look for is the solder flowing into this little cupped castellated edge of the pad. So just kind of make sure it gets good flow there, and that it also is connected to the pad on the bottom there. Kind of like to just kind of go in once or twice afterwards, give it a second, make sure the solder flows. We're going to hit this one again, and looks pretty good to me. And we kind of pull our pin header out of there, and now you can kind of see that edge. There's a little kind of, nice scooped edge of the solder there. So now that that side's done, we'll do the other side. And again, we don't need to do all of these. Just you can if you want to, but there's no real point. They're not connected to the board anywhere. And sometimes you might see this solder sort of wick inside the hole right there, and that's totally fine if it does. And occasionally you might press down while you're doing a side here just to make sure that it's nice and flush. If for some reason you have connection problems later on, you might give them another kind of little quick adjust, heat up solder, press them down into place. And that's kind of it. You're done. That's all you got to worry about. So a couple things to note. You've got, just for usage here, you've got in and out, your TRSs, your A-B switch for your output, so switch that to either type A or type B. For input, you've got an auto-sensing circuit here, so you can plug in type A or type B and both will work fine. You've got activity lights, LEDs down here, and the LED on board the QT Py will turn blue or cyan when it's on. So if something goes wrong and that LED goes out, you might need to unplug it and plug it back in again. Another quick thing is you've got this STEMMA QT adapter port built in on the QT Py, which is really great for if you want to plug in an external sensor. I've used this to attach a WeChuck adapter to a QT Py before, so that's kind of fun. You could have it write some extra code and have the QT Py do translation from the WeChuck Wiimote to the TRS MIDI. That's kind of fun. Also on the bottom you've got pads for SPI flash if for some reason you wanted to expand the capabilities of the QT Py with some flash memory and hack on this a little bit more. You've got access to all those pins and everything on the QT Py that you could do anyway. So you could expand this all with some extra controllers perhaps, or pots or whatever, and have a little bit more to play with. So that's the MicroMIDI TRS USB adapter, and thanks.